The Department of Homeland Security is accusing Hilton hotels of refusing service to immigration enforcement agents in Minnesota. Now Hilton says it's removing the hotel in question from its chain.
In a post on Monday, the DHS shared screenshots of emails that were allegedly sent by workers at the hotel. One of the emails reads, quote, "We have noticed an influx of government reservations made today that have been for DHS. We are not allowing any ICE or immigration agents to stay at our property. If you are with DHS or immigration, let us know. We will have to cancel your reservation." This news comes as the Trump administration is deploying roughly 2,000 federal agents to the Minneapolis-St. Paul area. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says the immigration crackdown is part of a larger investigation involving the allegations of rampant fraud throughout the area.
Conservative commentator Nick Sorter visited the hotel in question, which is a Hampton Inn in Minneapolis. In a post on X, he says, "Even the front desk manager said he'd spoken with the owner shortly before I walked in around 10:50 p.m. and confirmed the anti-DHS policy remained in effect." Hilton then put out a statement responding to Sorter's post saying, "We're taking immediate action to remove this hotel from our systems. Hilton is, and has always been, a welcoming place for all. We are also engaging with all of our franchises to reinforce the standards we hold them to across our system to help ensure this does not happen again." As expected, controversy ensued on social media. Some on the left praised the hotel workers, but on the right there was outrage and even calls for boycotting the hotel chain. Turning Point USA spokesman Andrew Colvett writes, "This is blatant discrimination against federal law enforcement that panders to the radical left while betraying American security."
But liberal commentator Brian Krasenstein says, quote, "I hope that more businesses follow suit and refuse service to government officials who are either breaking the law or doing morally reprehensible things." We talked about this earlier when you were saying about the service members that are in a conundrum when they're getting advice from people like Senator Mark Kelly to not comply with anything that's illegal. They didn't say morally reprehensible, and that's his opinion. But I think the service members are and everybody who's in, National Guard members are in a precarious situation because some of them are just following orders to go places like D.C. or waiting for the Supreme Court to rule on certain things, whether it's immigration enforcement or, trying to secure the area for crimes and bring crime down in certain areas. There's a back and forth, right? There's a back and forth about the legality of them being there. And so we know that Minneapolis, is a place that's pretty liberal. A lot of people there have voted. You see Tim Walz is at the helm of things. I mean, he was expected to easily win again as governor. And so I think a lot of people are have a personal opinion maybe about what DHS is doing and has done around the country, but that certainly should not spill over into business. And when I first saw this, because I have the travel series, I work a lot with hotel brands, and I understand that a lot of people are franchise owners of major entities within brands like Hilton or other big
This was
properties.
Not Hilton doing
And so it's not Hilton doing this.
Has nothing
So
to do
people
with
need to separate that and not attack Hilton.
Take a break. They're all screaming at Hilton. Hilton had no idea this was going on.
You understand how this works. There's a lot of franchisees. There's a couple that are owned by the actual Hilton brand. Maybe. I don't even know if that's still the case. But in this case, it seems like the upper management made this decision with their whole chest to say, we're not housing you guys. And so I was wondering, was this an employee that was taking liberties? Because then that could lead into a fireable offense. I was wondering if this is a Hilton-owned property, and then the manager or the leadership there made this decision, and then they can be kind of excommunicated by Hilton. And that's what we see happen. Hilton was like, well, then you turn into another hotel. Turn into I don't know, something else, Ramada, because you can't be Hilton anymore.
Yeah.
Or anybody who's going to go for that.
Keep in mind that we've normalized the idea that you're not supposed to refuse service to anyone. In my, libertarian world, I say a private business.
The same people think that private businesses should refuse service to whoever they want that are complaining about this.
I think they should be able to reserve, but they're not. So then conservatives are saying, well, they can't refuse service to a gay the infamous
bakery, yes.
cake baking. They can't refuse service. So why do they get to refuse service to law enforcement or what have you? Again, in my world, they should be able to refuse service for any reason, and I don't care. It's private business, can make private decisions, but that's not the world we live in, and so I understand the frustration. Now, I will say that law enforcement is a little different because of a little thing called the Third Amendment, the least well-remembered and discussed amendment.
Tell me what's in the Third Amendment, because
the quartering of troops. It is almost never comes up. Remember, that was one of our injustices against the British.
Yes.
The British troops were housed in American houses, and so they enshrined that in the Constitution that the government cannot do that, can't, station people, require you to house people. I think that would come up here. If the hotel said we don't want to allow troops, and there was a lawsuit, I think it would be a Third Amendment case, actually, which never comes up. There's no Third Amendment law defense center.
We rarely ever talk about that amendment.
Not violated. It seems like it could be a Third Amendment issue.
Well, I'm of the mindset of just disagreeing. I thought this was wrong in general, just because you're in the hospitality business and you shouldn't punish people that actually.
Well, they can face market forces. It's obviously unpopular. People are going to be mad. Hilton quickly decided, no, that's not how we're operating. We don't ask questions about really, what your business
where you work in order to let you stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind
of. I mean, if it's something as incredibly illegal as going on, if you're using the hotel room for drug smuggling or, I don't know, actually prostitution probably comes up sometimes because that's a hotel room thing that is illegal in a lot of states. They do look unfriendly toward that, but the actual law enforcement agents are not doing anything. They're there to do law enforcement. They're there to carry out immigration orders that are controversial and a lot of people don't like, but are.
But they also may be trying to protect themselves also as a hotel, because when you think about, and I disagree with their decision. I don't think that they should try to tell people that they can't stay there that work with the DHS. But I think when you look at the hotel and you think about how people have reacted to the sheer presence of the National Guard in cities around the country, and know that a large, let's say like 20 rooms were taken up or 50 rooms were taken up by National Guard members. You're seeing them in these military uniforms. If things get chaotic in Minnesota, like they possibly could, like they have around the country, and hopefully they do not, then you see them all kind of go back to the same hotel. It could create a disdain for the people that are, let's say, super liberal that might want to stay there. Maybe they just don't want to be involved in this contentious issue at the moment, but they just went about handling it the wrong way.
Yeah.
We have a lot more to talk about on Rising. Stay with us.